You know, if you would have told me in the year 2000, when I was 7 years old, that I would still be a professional wrestling fan today, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, no, this is just a fad. I mean, it's only cool for a little bit. Just like how Pokemon was cool when I was little, just like how Digimon was cool when I was little, just like how the Power Rangers was cool when I was little, just like how Beetleborgs was cool when I was little, just like how all these other things that I watched as a little child was just cool when I was little. As I grew up, you know, this is how I became a wrestling fan. This is why I still watch pro wrestling today. It's just so crazy to think about that I still watch this today. I'm going to tell you my whole life as a professional wrestling fan. The reason why is because this is my third anniversary, second anniversary actually, here on YouTube.com, making videos. I find it crazy that I've been making videos for almost 2 years and I've loved all the support that I've gotten. And I've just said, you know what, might as well go out here and talk to you guys why I make these videos, why I love professional wrestling, why I talk about it still, and how I became a wrestling fan and why I am still today. I think I repeated myself there, but I don't give a shit. It was back in 1998 in my grandma's mudroom. Now I know what you guys are thinking. A mudroom? Were you in a room surrounded by fucking mud? No, it was called the mudroom because my grandpa built a room and he called it the mudroom. It was just a normal room, kind of like this, a little bit vertical. We just call it the mudroom. There's nothing wrong with it. So, I was in my grandma's mudroom in 1998 and I was flipping through the channels because I couldn't sleep. She lived in the mountains in Bakersfield, California. Yeah, I know, people. There is such thing as mountains here in California, and people do live on farms in California. I'm just making sure if no one knows that. But yes, I lived with my grandma in the mountains for a little bit, and I remember watching, just flipping through the channels, and I saw this guy with long fucking hair reading a list in the middle of the ring, and at this time, for me as a little kid who grew up on boxing, I thought it was boxing. I was like, this boxer looks interesting. He's not wearing actual boxing trunks. He's wearing like these weird spandex tights. And as it moved on forward, with the promo, they went to commercial and then it came back and he was still talking. And I thought it was hilarious. I was like, this boxer's crazy. This guy is fucking nuts. Who is this guy? And they said, welcome back to WCW Monday Night Nitro. Chris Jericho's still in the ring. I'm like, Chris Jericho? And it was his 1,004 holds promo. At the time, I thought that was boxing. I really did. I really thought it was boxing. You can laugh at me all you want. I can understand. But just put into perspective, I was only 5 years old at the time. So let's not laugh too hard at poor little Chase here. But I remember seeing that, and it was one of the main reasons why I purchased the Best of WCW Monday Night Nitro, because I saw that that promo was on there. It was one of my favorite promos. I still watch it on YouTube, but I put in the DVD just because for nostalgia reasons, and I just remember just sitting there watching that promo. And I just remember me as a little kid thinking that this is boxing, this is real, and all that other crap. In the year 2000, I moved back in with my parents because I was living with my grandparents for a little while. And, I asked my dad, like, because my dad was a wrestling fan, and I've heard wrestling games before. He told me, hey, I watched little bits of stints of what I thought was boxing at the time. I didn't understand what the hell they were doing because, like, I was just like, oh, this is a weird-ass boxing match. I thought it was, like, the new, because there was the street fighting that I've been hearing about through the pay-per-view commercials. I was like, I thought that it was street fighting I was watching. I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. I remember I was just tuning in, but I remember in 2000, my dad was watching. I'm like, oh, are you watching the boxing, the street fighting or something? Because I just saw the ring. And he's like, no, I'm watching wrestling. And that's when automatically I just became a wrestling fan. And Stone Cold became one of my favorites as a professional wrestler up until 2001 when he betrayed The Rock at WrestleMania 17 and he signed his soul with the devil. Still bitter about that, Stone Cold, but you're still one of my favorites. Oh, God, getting emotional talking about that. But I've been a wrestling fan ever since. The only real breaks that I really took in professional wrestling was around 2003. I just wasn't really interested that much in professional wrestling. No offense to Brock Lesnar. I like him as a competitor and a performer, but he wasn't interesting to me. Chris Jericho, to me, was just kind of flat in 2003. I didn't really give that too much about Triple H in 2003. I did not like Triple H at all. Like, I thought Triple H was a badass, back in the old days. Back in the old days, I was like Triple H was a badass. Like 2000 when I was a little kid, but when I got a little bit older, in like 2003, I just couldn't stand the dude. Like it wasn't like, oh, he's a good heel that I couldn't stand him. Back when I was a little kid, it was just more of like I can't even watch this dude anymore. And I just remember there's so much things that I just couldn't watch, and I just decided to take a little bit of a break. And I remember in 2004. Is when I started to get back into it because my brother, he was getting back into it. He kind of took a break too, and he watched the Royal Rumble, and I was so lost in the loop. I didn't know who were the major heels or anything or faces, and back then I didn't even know about that terminology, and I was all like, oh yeah, where's Rikishi? How come they can't just put Rikishi in the Rumble match again? And they're like, oh, Big Show's a major hero. I'm like, Big Show? Why Big Show? Because back when, if you watch wrestling back in like 2000 and stuff like that, just put picture in this mind. Big Show, the only time he was a major guy was like in 1999, and I didn't even watch 1999 wrestling back then. Back then, I wasn't like the wrestling geek that I am today. So I was just like, the heck, Big Show, really? And so like, all these guys, I couldn't get it. I just didn't get it. And then I remember I saw Goldberg come into the ring. I'm like, Goldberg? And I saw Mick Foley come into the ring to eliminate Randy Orton, my boy. And then later on, Randy Orton, by the way, did catch my eye a little bit. And then later on, I saw Chris Benoit, out of all people in the world, Chris Benoit, who I barely got to see when I was a little kid. Because remember, he got injured with the neck when I was like getting fully invested. And so I barely got to see Benoit. I really didn't see him all too much because, you know, back in the Attitude Era, you know, as a little kid, just think about this. Who would I rather see? The Rocks and the Austins or the Chris Benoits? You know, I was like Rock, Austin, Triple H, Kurt Angle, and all that other stuff. I was sold into those guys. Benoit, during the Alliance storyline, wasn't even around. He wasn't even around the Alliance storyline. So I never got emotionally invested with Benoit. But when I saw him win the Rumble, I was like, damn, that shit's crazy. And, you know, I thought it was interesting seeing the 2004 Royal Rumble and how it went down. And then, you know, pretty much my spirit of wrestling was also broken because in 2003, during the Buried Alive match, I think one of my friends wanted to do that for a report for the sports report for a current event. And one of my teachers said that it was fake. And I still am mad at that teacher because that kind of ruined my spirit of professional wrestling. Yeah, I didn't find out until 2003 wrestling was fake, so sue me. I don't give a shit. But anyways, in 2003, you know, I just didn't care anymore because, like I said, I found out it was fake. None of the guys I liked all that much. None of the guys I grew up with were awesome. And, you know, yeah, Rock and Austin had that one match at 19. And I think that was the only reason why I watched WrestleMania 19 in all honesty. But 2004, I remember I heard Eddie Guerrero was facing Brock Lesnar. And I still wasn't 100% interested in the product. And I was like, the heck? Eddie Guerrero facing Brock Lesnar. And I remember my parents, they wanted to go to that event. They wanted to go to San Francisco for a vacation. I was sick, so I didn't go. But my parents witnessed Eddie Guerrero winning the title, and I kind of wish I wasn't sick for that moment. But honestly, I just was trying to find a way to get back into it because I heard people talking about Guerrero was champion and all this other stuff, and I thought it was different. I thought it was unique. And so I remember WrestleMania 20 is what really got me hooked onto wrestling again. I know WrestleMania 20 is not really loved by everything, but I remember WrestleMania 20 got me hooked in wrestling. And I remember seeing more of Evolution and Eugene and all these other characters, John Cena as the rapper. And so I got back into wrestling because of guys like John Cena, guys like Batista, guys like Randy Orton. And that's why maybe a little bit I'm not as harsh when it comes down to reviewing John Cena or a Randy Orton or a Batista like most people are, because they're kind of the guys that got me back into wrestling. Yes, they weren't the best characters. I will agree with you that. But when I was a little kid, you got to think, rapper John Cena is the hip thing. And what was the hip thing when I was like in 5th or 6th grade? Eminem was the hip thing. Eminem was tight. So I thought John Cena was sick as hell. Batista, he was like one of the biggest motherfuckers that I seen that wasn't fat. He was. Like, A-Train was fat when I was a little kid. Albert, Big Show was fat. Rikishi was fat. You know, so many other guys, yeah, they were kind of big. Undertaker was a big dude. Kane was a big dude, but he wasn't as Batista built. Maybe back in the 90s he was, but just remember, I was a little kid. Don't remember that much. Batista was just a guy that got me back in, and I loved Randy Orton. I thought Randy Orton was a total badass. I thought he was awesome as a little kid. So if you guys know me a little bit and you guys know how I review, just know that, the Ordens, the Cenas, and the Batistas, I don't really grade that hard because they're kind of the guys that kind of got me back into the business. I know not the greatest of characters, but they got me invested again. And, it was also the guys like the Benoits and the Guerreros and the Jerichos that I watched when I was little. I loved Eddie Guerrero with China. I didn't remember him all that much besides the stint with China and maybe the broken arm shit, but I loved Eddie Guerrero with China. And so, like, I started getting back into professional wrestling. I started watching it more. I found out about the dirt sheets. I signed up for forums. I did e-fetting. I did all this stuff with professional wrestling. And it was one of the things I truly started to love again. And I probably fell into the wrong era of getting back into wrestling. I understand that, but I don't give a shit. It's the era I fell in love with a lot. The Attitude Era, it had great memories for me as a little kid. I loved the Attitude Era. But that era of 2004 to 2005, although not the greatest, the era where I truly became in love with the sport of professional wrestling. You know, Throughout all the time, I started getting into more products. Back in 2002, I remember I would check out TNA every once in a while through Adelphia Syndicate channels. If you guys had Adelphia, you guys would know what I was talking about. It was on like the 7,000 channels that you had with Adelphia back in the old days. If you guys remember Adelphia. And I remember I heard something about ROH. I remember I went to a couple PWG shows when I was a little bit younger. And so as I grew up, I just remember watching wrestling. In 2009, I took a flat out break because I hated WrestleMania 25 so much with a burning passion. I hated WrestleMania 25. I said I would never watch this again. Everything I ever loved about professional wrestling is kind of dead. Cena was getting really boring to me. Batista was just every single time I would see this motherfucker, he would be like rematch, rematch, rematch. Randy Orton wasn't doing crap for me. I thought that was the best Randy Orton in a while. I just did not care. I did not care about anything in professional wrestling at that point. And so I took a break. And then I came back around 2010. And then I heard Batista was a heel. And he was such a fucking badass as a heel. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels were starting their feud up again. I said, you know what? I'm giving wrestling a chance again. And I did. And, I was kind of on and off. But I remember keep on watching. I kept on watching and watching and watching. And as I sit here today, and then I decided to do the YouTube videos, and as I sit here today and I'm talking about professional wrestling and my experience as a wrestling fan with you guys, I think to myself, how come I still watch this? I ask myself this every once in a while randomly. We all have random thoughts, but I ask myself, why am I still watching wrestling? Is it something from my childhood that I can't let go? That could be a reason. Is it the characters, the drama, and everything? Yeah, I guess so. But I feel like the main reason why I still watch professional wrestling is because of the connection I can get with a lot of you guys and a lot of people on the Skype that I talk to. Some of the people I talk to on Skype are some of the coolest people ever that I've met. I know that sounds weird to say. I've met some cool people in my life. I'm not saying these Skype people replace my real life friends. Nothing replaces my best friend in real life. But it's so refreshing that I can come onto this Skype and I can talk to people about professional wrestling. And I can talk about, the storylines and stuff and be really nerdy with it. Just like how some people may love it that the internet connected so many people with comic books or Pokemon or video games, that type of deal. That's how wrestling was with me. And it was just so awesome. And I just feel like, without professional wrestling, if I don't watch professional wrestling, that I just kind of feel weird. I just feel weird not being able to watch the show. I know a lot of people are going to laugh at me at this. I still watch TNA wrestling. It's not the best product out there, but I still watch it. Why? I can't give you real good reason why. I guess because I just love professional wrestling. The thing is with wrestling, no matter how I look at it, whether I come onto this YouTube and I bash the living shit about storylines that I don't like, and whether I say this character sucks or this character's awesome, whether I have my opinion and I'm letting out here that I fucking hate what's going on, at the same time, wrestling's one of those things where I go and I sit back, I watch it on that big boom box right there, I watch it on the computer right here, and I can able to release whatever tensions, anything I have going on in my life, it goes away. And I enter the world of the WWE, of TNA, of whatever you want to watch. Whatever I'm watching that's professional wrestling related, I just let it go and I sit back and I watch what is going on in the ring and I critique it a little bit. And sometimes with my reviews, I get lazy because I'm not critiquing as much, but I just enjoy what I see. I just enjoy the aspect of this all. And it's just miraculous to me. Even if a segment's shitty as hell, I'll go on Twitter and I'll make a joke about it. But at the same time, I'm still in that world, the professional wrestling world, where I'm just enjoying it. And the reason why I want to make this video is kind of, to thank any wrestling fan that I've ever met, in my life through YouTube or through Skype or anything. Y'all are awesome because this is something I truly love. This is something I'm truly passionate about is professional wrestling. I tried to train to become a professional wrestler once in my life, but it didn't work out for me. But this is something that I truly do love, and I'd like to thank, the medium of YouTube and just anyone who interacts and discusses wrestling with me for, just doing so. Because this place, and it doesn't matter if you love or hate the product now, I feel no matter what, we always go back to wrestling in the end of the day. I feel like when I'm 32 years old, there's going to be one day where my wife is bugging me, and I'm just going to be very annoyed with her. And then I turn on my TV, and there's the good old professional wrestling to save me from whatever my wife's nagging me about. I always feel like when I feel like this is hopeless, nothing's cool anymore. I'm not talking about like, terrible stuff, but like where it's like I can't freaking pass this test. This class is stressing me out. Whenever I feel stressed out, I just go and I turn on professional wrestling and everything's right. Everything feels more clear-minded. I feel very happy. I watch happy moments, some of my favorite moments in wrestling. I don't know. The reason why I made this video as my second anniversary here on YouTube is mainly because I just felt this would be a great video to talk about professional wrestling. Why I still watch it today, even though the product is completely not as good. But just to show you guys that, no matter what has happened to the product, no matter how you view it, we're still, no matter what, always going to be wrestling fans. And we're still going to have our opinions, whether good or bad. We still like the business because we care about it. I understand some wrestling fans are more serious than I am. And I condemn you for that because you are super serious about the product. I understand some wrestling fans are like myself who just like to be more laid back and maybe have the same mindset of me that, dive into this very, very interesting world of professional wrestling in a different way. But at the end of the day, we're still all wrestling fans, and no matter what, we still watch it just for fun. Thank you guys for listening to this really random ramble about this. I really want to make this video because I said I gotta make a video for my second anniversary here on YouTube. You guys are all awesome. If you guys like this video, you can subscribe down below. Like or dislike this video. It's up to you. But anyways, guys, I'm out of here. This is why I'm a professional wrestling fan. Why are you still a professional wrestling fan, and how long you been watching? Leave your comments down below. Can't wait to respond to anyone who, if you watch the full video, kudos to you, because I know it's like 18 minutes long. But I can't wait to respond to all of you guys who explain why you're still a wrestling fan. Whether it's good or bad, I still watch it, damn it. It's still real to me, damn it.